the Better Aid Bill, it's called Bill C-293 if you live in the House of Commons, will create a whole new approach to spending Canadian aid. First of all, it sets up three main rules that the Minister of International Development Assistance has got to meet when she or he decides to spend aid money. Number one, aid has to reduce poverty. Number two, it has to be delivered in a way which is consistent with international human rights standards. Number three, it has to take account of the ideas of those people who are actually living in poverty, their priorities and their needs. That's the basic core of the bill. And it also sets up a new kind of reporting for aid spending. The minister has to report to Parliament twice as fast and more comprehensively than ever before. So every year there's a report in front of Parliament. Every year there's a statistical analysis. And not only that, what Canada does at the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, they're called, if you live in New York, the Bretton Woods institutions. These are the institutions of global governance that impact on every poor economy on the planet. And the donor states, Canada included, are part of the board of directors of these organizations. Well, with this piece of legislation, Canada will be required to report transparently, openly to Canadians about what it is doing and what it intends at these powerful global institutions. So on the performance side, what is aid spent for? And on the reporting side, how are we accountable for what we do? This bill will produce major, major changes. Here are a couple of examples. Canada has a practice of spending what is called tied aid. Now, this means that developing country economies have to buy the inputs and supplies for projects in the donor state, and according to development experts, that scrapes away 30 cents on every dollar which is spent in international development. Now, with this legislation, I think it's fair to predict tied aid is on the way out with a jetpack on its back, and good riddance. So the money we spend now will be worth 25 to 30% more because tied aid will no longer be an element of that aid spending. The tendency to militarization of aid spending, the use of aid dollars internationally for security operations, for military purposes and military operations, this is a growing trend around the world, and it runs straight against the idea that aid is money held in trust for the world's poor and to be used for the eradication of poverty. So the trend towards militarization, it's also on the way out with this legislation. Reporting will be much more comprehensive, and it will be twice as fast as it now is. And so accountability to Canadian citizens and to members of Parliament will be far, far improved. So there you go. Those are some of the impacts of this important new piece of legislation, Bill C-293. Take away the numbers, and it's called the Better Aid Bill. And it's been a major part of the Make Poverty History campaign. Not just more aid, but better aid too. That's what this legislation will do.